The alien observers drifted silently in Earth's orbit, their sleek, cloaked vessel undetectable by human technology. Their mission was straightforward: assess and catalog emerging civilizations, determining their potential for integration into the Galactic Community. The crew, a collective of advanced beings from a thousand-star federation, had seen countless worlds and species. Earth, they assumed, would be no different, a primitive, divided planet teetering on the brink of self-destruction. Their initial scans confirmed their expectations. Humanity was a Type 0.7 civilization, barely harnessing the energy of their own planet, let alone the stars. Wars raged across continents. Resources were squandered, and the environment was collapsing under the weight of unchecked industrialization. To the aliens, humanity was a cautionary tale, a species destined to fade into obscurity before achieving anything of note. Yet, as they delved deeper into their observations, anomalies began to surface. Despite their apparent mediocrity, humans displayed flashes of brilliance that defied explanation. They created art that stirred emotions the aliens had long forgotten. They built machines that, while crude, hinted at a latent ingenuity. They solved problems with creativity that seemed to emerge from nowhere, often turning their greatest weaknesses into strengths. The aliens noted these contradictions with mild curiosity, but remained unconvinced. After all, every species had its quirks. What mattered was a bigger picture, and the bigger picture painted humanity as a lost cause. One particular human caught their attention: Dr. Elena Marquez, a physicist working in a modest lab in Barcelona. Her work on quantum entanglement was rudimentary by galactic standards, but her approach was different. She didn't follow the linear paths of logic that most species adhered to. Instead, she seemed to leap from one idea to another, connecting dots that shouldn't have been connected. The aliens watched as she stumbled upon a breakthrough that even their advanced algorithms hadn't predicted. Using a combination of recycled materials and borrowed equipment, she demonstrated a rudimentary form of energy manipulation that bordered on the impossible. It wasn't the technology itself that intrigued the aliens. It was the fact that she had achieved it with so little. Where other species would have required vast resources and centuries of research, she had done it in a decade, working alone in a crumbling lab. The aliens began to debate among themselves. Was this a fluke? A statistical anomaly? Or was there something more to humanity that their scans had missed? They decided to extend their observation period, focusing their attention on Dr. Marquez and her work. As they watched, they noticed something else: humanity's capacity for collaboration. Despite their divisions, humans had an uncanny ability to come together in the face of adversity. When Dr. Marquez published her findings, she didn't hoard her discovery. She shared it freely, sparking a wave of innovation across the globe. Scientists, engineers, and dreamers from every corner of the planet began building on her work, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The aliens' initial dismissal began to waver. They had seen species with advanced technology, species with vast empires, species with perfect unity. But they had never seen a species like humanity, a species that could achieve so much with so little, a species that thrived not in spite of its flaws, but because of them. The aliens' unease grew as they realized that their initial assessment might have been wrong. Humanity wasn't a lost cause. It was a sleeping giant, and the aliens had just witnessed the first stirrings of its awakening. As the observation period drew to a close, the aliens made a decision. They would continue to watch, but not as detached observers. They would intervene, subtly, to test humanity's limits. They needed to know if what they had seen was a fleeting spark or the beginning of a fire that could light up the galaxy. And so, they prepared their next move, their curiosity now tinged with a sense of urgency. Humanity, they realized, wasn't even trying yet, and that thought filled them with both awe and dread. Dr. Elena Marquez stood in her lab, staring at the flickering screen, displaying the results of her latest experiment. The numbers didn't make sense. According to every known law of physics, what she had just achieved should have been impossible. Yet there was undeniable and irrefutable. She had created a stable quantum entanglement field using nothing more than a modified microwave emitter and a handful of spare parts scavenged from old electronics. The implications were staggering. If her calculations were correct, This breakthrough could revolutionize energy production, communication, and even space travel. But more than that, it was a testament to human ingenuity, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could achieve the extraordinary. Word of her discovery spread quickly. Within days, her lab was flooded with messages from scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs eager to collaborate. Among them was Raj Patel, a software developer from Mumbai who had been working on an AI algorithm capable of optimizing complex systems. Together, they began refining the technology, pushing it further than Elena had thought possible. Raj's AI identified patterns and connections that human minds alone could never have seen, accelerating the pace of development exponentially. What had started as a lone scientist's passion project was now a global effort, with contributors from every continent working around the clock to bring the technology to life. The aliens watched in stunned silence. They had expected humanity to falter, to collapse under the weight of its own limitations. Instead, they saw a species rising to the occasion, defying every expectation. The quantum entanglement field was crude by galactic standards, but the speed at which it had been developed was unprecedented. The aliens had seen civilizations spend centuries on similar projects, only to abandon them in frustration. Humanity, on the other hand, had achieved in months what others had failed to do in millennia, and they had done it with scraps. As the project gained momentum, the aliens began to notice something else: humanity's capacity for unity. Despite their differences, humans were coming together in ways that defied logic. Governments that had been at odds for decades set aside their disputes to fund the research. Corporations that had once competed fiercely now shared resources and expertise. Even ordinary citizens with no scientific background contributed in whatever way they could, donating money, spreading awareness, or simply offering words of encouragement. It was as if the entire species had been galvanized by the possibility of a better future. The aliens' initial curiosity turned to unease. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were beginning to understand the consequences of that mistake. This wasn't just a species with potential. This was a species that thrived under pressure, that grew stronger with every challenge it faced. The quantum entanglement field was just the beginning. If humanity could achieve this much with so little, what could they do with the resources of an entire galaxy? The aliens decided to intervene, not to help but to test. They wanted to see how far humanity could go, how much they could endure. Using their advanced technology, they created a series of obstacles designed to push humanity to its limits. A sudden surge in solar activity disrupted global communications. A mysterious virus targeted the AI systems supporting the project. A series of natural disasters struck key research facilities. Each challenge was carefully calibrated to be just beyond humanity's current capabilities, forcing them to adapt and innovate, and adapt they did. When the solar flares knocked out satellites, engineers developed a ground-based quantum communication network. When the virus threatened to cripple the AI, programmers created a decentralized system that was virtually immune to attack. When the disaster struck, volunteers from around the world rallied to rebuild the damaged facilities, often working through the night to ensure the project stayed on track. The aliens watched in awe as humanity not only overcame each obstacle, but emerged stronger and more determined than before. By the time the final challenge was met, the aliens were forced to confront a truth they had long denied. Humanity's potential was limitless. What they had dismissed as a primitive, divided species was in fact a sleeping giant, capable of achieving greatness on a scale the galaxy had never seen. The quantum entanglement field was no longer just a scientific breakthrough. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit. As the project neared completion, the aliens made a decision. They would reveal themselves not as conquerors or saviors, but as equals. They had come to Earth to assess humanity, but in the end, it was humanity that had assessed them, and what they had found was a species worthy of respect, admiration, and partnership. The galaxy was vast, but it was no longer empty. Humanity had arrived, and they were just getting started. The crisis began without warning. A massive solar flare erupted from the sun, sending a wave of charged particles hurtling toward Earth. The aliens, observing from their cloaked vessel, had orchestrated the event, amplifying the flare's intensity to test humanity's resilience. Within hours, the planet's communication networks began to fail. Satellites were fried, power grids overloaded, and the internet, a lifeline for the global quantum entanglement project, was on the brink of collapse. The aliens watched intently, curious to see how humanity would respond to a challenge of this magnitude. Dr. Elena Marquez and her team were among the first to feel the impact. The AI system supporting their research went offline, and the delicate quantum field they had worked so hard to stabilize began to destabilize. For a moment, panic set in. But then something remarkable happened. Across the globe, scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens began to mobilize. In Mumbai, Raj Patel and his team of programmers worked tirelessly to create a decentralized communication network that could bypass the damaged satellites. In Beijing, a group of engineers repurposed old radio towers to establish a ground-based quantum link. In Barcelona, Elena and her colleagues scrambled to manually stabilize the quantum field, using every ounce of their knowledge and creativity to keep the project alive. The aliens were stunned. They had expected chaos, disarray, perhaps even collapse. Instead, they saw a species united by a common purpose, working together to overcome a challenge that would have crippled most civilizations. The decentralized network came online just in time, allowing the team to regain control of the quantum field. But the crisis was far from over. The solar flare had triggered a chain reaction, causing a series of natural disasters that threatened to derail the project entirely. Earthquakes shook research facilities in California, floods inundated labs in Europe, and a volcanic eruption in Indonesia disrupted supply chains across the globe. Once again, humanity rose to the occasion. Volunteers from every corner of the planet poured into the affected areas, working around the clock to rebuild what had been lost. In California, engineers used 3D printing technology to construct temporary shelters for displaced researchers. In Europe, drones were deployed to deliver critical supplies to flood-stricken labs. In Indonesia, local communities banded together to clear debris and restore access to key facilities. The aliens watched in awe as humanity turned adversity into opportunity, finding new ways to innovate and adapt with each passing day. But the aliens weren't done testing. Using their advanced technology, they introduced a new challenge, a sophisticated virus designed to target the AI systems supporting the quantum project. The virus spread rapidly, infiltrating networks and corrupting data. For a moment, it seemed as though the project might be lost. But once again, humanity proved its resilience. Raj Patel and his team developed a counter-virus, using the decentralized network to distribute it globally. Within hours, the threat was neutralized and the AI systems were back online. The aliens were forced to confront a truth they had long denied. Humanity's ingenuity was unmatched. As the final obstacle was overcome, the aliens made a startling realization. Humanity's strength didn't come from its technology or its resources. It came from its people, their creativity, their determination, their ability to come together in the face of adversity. The quantum entanglement field was no longer just a scientific achievement. It was a testament to the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to be defeated. The aliens' initial skepticism had turned to admiration. They had come to Earth to assess humanity, but in the end, it was humanity that had assessed them. The challenges they had orchestrated were meant to test humanity's limits, but instead, they had revealed its boundless potential. The galaxy was vast, but it was no longer empty. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready to take their place among the stars. The aliens knew that this was only the beginning. The real journey was about to start, and they could hardly wait to see where it would lead. The aliens' decision to reveal themselves was not made lightly. For centuries, they had observed countless civilizations, intervening only when necessary and always from the shadows. But humanity was different. The challenges they had faced and overcome had proven that this was a species unlike any other. The quantum entanglement field was not just a technological marvel. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit. The aliens knew that the time had come to step out of the darkness and into the light. The revelation was carefully orchestrated. A single alien vessel, sleek and shimmering, descended into Earth's atmosphere, landing in a remote desert where it would cause minimal disruption. The message they sent was simple and direct. We have been watching. We have seen what you are capable of. We wish to meet. The response was immediate. Governments scrambled to assemble a delegation. Scientists prepared to document the encounter, and the world held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Dr. Elena Marquez was among the first to arrive at the landing site. She stood at the forefront of the human delegation, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. The alien vessel loomed before her, its surface reflecting the pale light of the setting sun. As the hatch opened, a figure emerged, tall, slender, and radiating an otherworldly calm. The alien's voice, soft and melodic, echoed in her mind rather than her ears. "We have come to learn from you," it said. "Your achievements have shown us that we have much to learn." The meeting that followed was unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. The aliens spoke of their long history, their vast empire, and their countless encounters with other species. But they also spoke of their limitations. For all their advanced technology, they had never encountered a species like humanity, a species that could achieve so much with so little, a species that thrived not in spite of its flaws, but because of them. "You have shown us," the alien said, "that true greatness lies not in perfection, but in the ability to adapt, to innovate, to rise above adversity." The humans listened in stunned silence. For centuries, they had looked at the stars with a mix of awe and longing, wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now, they stood face to face with beings from another world, beings who had come not to conquer or to save, but to learn. It was a humbling and exhilarating experience, one that would change the course of history. As the meeting progressed, the aliens revealed more about their intentions. They offered to share their knowledge and technology, not as a gift, but as a partnership. They spoke of a future where humanity and the Galactic Community could work together to explore the cosmos, to unlock its secrets, and to build a better future for all. But they also made it clear that this partnership would come with challenges. The galaxy was vast and filled with dangers, and humanity would need to prove itself worthy of a place among the stars. The humans accepted the challenge with a determination that surprised even the aliens. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but they also knew that they had the strength and the spirit to overcome any obstacle. The quantum entanglement field was just the beginning. With the aliens' help, they could achieve things that had once been the stuff of dreams. Interstellar travel, terraforming, even the colonization of distant worlds. The possibilities were endless, and the future was bright. As the meeting drew to a close, the alien turned to Elena and said, "You have shown us that humanity is not just a species with potential. You are a species with purpose. We look forward to seeing what you will achieve." With that, the alien returned to its vessel, leaving the humans to ponder the enormity of what had just happened. In the days and weeks that followed, the world began to change. The revelation of the aliens' existence sparked a wave of unity and cooperation unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Nations set aside their differences, pooling their resources and expertise to prepare for the challenges ahead. Scientists worked tirelessly to integrate the aliens' technology with their own, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. And ordinary citizens, inspired by the promise of a brighter future, began to dream of what they could achieve together. The aliens watched from afar, their initial skepticism replaced by a sense of hope. They had come to Earth to assess humanity, but in the end, it was humanity that had assessed them. The galaxy was vast, but it was no longer empty. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready to take their place among the stars. The journey was just beginning, and the possibilities were endless. The aliens knew that they had made the right choice. Humanity wasn't even trying yet, and that thought filled them with awe and anticipation. The best was yet to come.